Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business. I have a very interesting lady today, and she has got a lot of real life lessons that she's going to be able to share with all of us. Before I introduce her, I want to introduce what we're going to be talking about today. And I guess I'm introducing her as well. So, some stories are written to sell books or build a brand. And some stories are shared because staying silent costs too much. Today's conversation is with Thomasine Snelick, a woman whose life has been shaped by childhood trauma, profound loss, and the long road of healing that follows both. Sorry. If you've ever lived through something that changed you, if you have ever wondered how grief is carried without it consuming you, or if you've ever needed proof that survival can turn into purpose, then this conversation is for you. So, welcome, Tommi. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a privilege, honestly.
Oh, thank you. So, do you want to tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
I'm Tommy. I'm 27 now. I grew up in a small manufacturing town in Pennsylvania. Um, I we have a small homestead. We're very down to earth people, very simple lives, not getting into the hustle and bustle of big cities. And we like our life that way. And now it's finally time to, after healing a while, to tell the stories of things that I've been through that made me into who I am and have somewhat of a following on social media, things like that. It's time to finally sit down and have those conversations and you're not seeing 20-second snippets of what my life is like.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Well, I commend you. I know how difficult it can be, but also showing your strength. So, why don't we start off by you telling us a little bit about your brother?
My brother was, if you could picture a stereotypical biker in your head,
Oh,
that was 100% my brother. He was 6'2", 240 pounds, big trucks, two motorcycles, tattoos. You thought of a stereotypical biker, and it was my brother. And he was the strongest person that I knew. That anything that life threw at him, he was willing to face it head on. He never backed down from a fight. He stood up for everything he believed in. He loved the outdoors. He loved hunting, fishing, everything like that.
nice. Yeah. But um, life consumed him.
Life, and I don't want to say it this way, but COVID lockdowns
Mm,
definitely, I feel, played a type into what happened. Um, and a lot of things in his life changed pretty drastically, pretty quickly. And it consumed him completely until eventually I lost my brother.
do you want to tell us a little bit about that? I know a lot of people. I know I'm in Canada and you're in the US, but whether you were in either country, people suffered during COVID.
Absolutely. And my brother had some other things going on. My brother struggled with mental health. As far as we know, whenever he said that he was seeking help was back in May of 2021 or 2020. And he was in and out of mental hospitals trying to seek help, get on the right medications, things like that. So it was a process because he did not end up passing away until December 30th of 2021.
Mm.
2020. They were so close together. 2021.
2021. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me double check just to make sure because I
Mm,
feel like that's wrong.
that's okay. That's okay. It's funny how life progresses and the world goes, and we wake up and we go,
2021.
there you go. But you wake up and you go, seriously? That was like 5 years ago? I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, what helped you survive his experience? Because he committed suicide, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So, what helped you survive that experience?
The most unhealthy coping mechanism I think that they ever made. I was living an hour away from home when my brother killed himself. And I turned to alcohol. If there wasn't alcohol at my house, I was a nightmare. And it was winter.
Oh,
In Pennsylvania, it's cold, there's snow. I remember like cleaning out my brother's estate and everything else. And I just remember being like, well, where the fuck did he hide the alcohol? Because I knew he had it.
yeah.
And I remember sitting in his room and I was sitting on the edge of his bed. And it was probably 2 or 3 months after he passed. And I remember just saying, why am I drinking? Why am I hiding this feeling? And I told
Mm,
myself I was done drinking. And on his birthday, I ended up, I guess, relapsing is what most people would call it, and ended up heavily drinking again on a 4-day bender. And my coworker called me out and he was like, Tommy, you can't do this. You're falling back off the wagon. And he was honestly the reason that I was like, okay, maybe I need to quit drinking again.
yeah. Wow. Yeah, when something traumatic like that happens, it's we reach out for whatever coping mechanism can help, and sometimes they're not the healthiest. Did your brother have a diagnosis of what happened with him, or was he just he knew he was depressed and not well and just kept searching for help?
My brother was, like I said, in and out of mental institutions. I put it, I tell people like this and they look mortified at me. It was like watching a sick family member die. That he was looking for a diagnosis. They were trying different medications. They were doing everything to try to help him. And I watched my brother go from 6'2", 240-pound guy down to 6'2" and 160 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
That my brother drank, did illegal substances. He was grasping onto everything too.
Mhm.
And we just I almost say it was like watching sick family member die, that it was one of those things that it was sudden,
Wow.
but it was almost, I guess, in the back of my mind, expected at the same time because we could watch him wither away to nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Aw. So when many people carry childhood trauma differently, a lot of them carry it quietly. Um, did you bury your feelings at all, or did you just, it sounds more like you were, I don't know, you tell me. What
I
was it
was
like for you?
avoiding them.
You were avoiding.
I was doing everything to
Yeah.
avoid them because when my brother passed, I had just started a new job a month prior. I was a month in and we were working, maintenance came in and worked overtime. And I just started, they were like, hey, you're in maintenance. Do you want to come in and work? And I'm like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, it's my normal day to work anyway, no big deal. And I remember getting that phone call then. And I think at that point, like, I knew of what had happened. I could tell you how the exact day went that I got the phone call that my brother tried to commit. He wasn't pronounced dead yet. And I think after that, I just avoided everything. I was engaged at the time. He had a 4-year-old daughter. I just ended up working every day, helping with his daughter and going home, taking care of my stepdad and mom. And I just pretty much dove into like avoid it. And if I can't avoid it, drink.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Aw. So, how was it at home? Because I know you mentioned to me that there was no really talking about it around your father.
For that, I remember walking into my mom's house and it was eerily quiet. And well, I guess I should backtrack to the day that it happened. I had looked at my now ex-fiance, looked at him and I said, hey, my mom and Mike are coming home. We need to go home. I need to go home. And he's like, okay, that's fine. And I said, my mom said she wants to talk to me. And I remember pulling in my mom's driveway and she came out. And I mean, I just knew at that moment that my
Mm.
brother wasn't coming home. And she had told me that he had passed and my stepdad didn't come out of the house. And my mom's like, why don't you just go home tonight? It's been a long enough day. Because by the time I got the call, it was like 7:30 in the morning.
Mm.
This was 10:30 at night. So it was a long day and everything else. So I remember going to help with my brother's funeral. And I just remember like my stepdad was almost like a shell of himself. And I said something about the funeral arrangements. And he's like, I just don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to think about it. And I
Mm.
was like, okay, how are we going to get through finishing planning the funeral? How are we going to get through the funeral if this is already how this is going? And I just remember being like so scared to even bring up my brother's name. Like all his obituary cards I hid in my truck.
Mm.
All his clothing that I had, like me and him trapped with a set of twins. And I remember like having little mementos from whenever we trapped together. And I remember hiding them because I was afraid that if my stepdad found them, that they would be too much of a reminder and overwhelm him with the grief all over
Oh.
again.
And how did your mom handle that?
My mom handled it better than any of us. Like my mom even admitted she thought for sure I'd be the one who would handle it and not be a mess because I was always between me and my brother, we were always the backbone. We were always the stronger ones.
Mhm.
So like my mom was like, "Oh, she'll be fine. She'll be fine." And then my mom was like, "Oh, she is not fine. I am the one who's okay in this."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so it's a tough thing to be going through that and trying to balance out what needs to be taken care of, your own grief, and then that wall that your father put up.
I wasn't, if I'm being 100% honest, I wasn't worried about the wall that my stepdad had put up at the time. What I was worried about was he was already in congestive heart failure for 6 years prior
Mm.
to this. He was at 15% heart function when my
Oh,
brother died. I remember me and my mom went out to breakfast without my dad, like months after my brother had passed. And I looked at my mom and I said, how long do you think Mike's going to live? How much longer do you think he has? And she goes, I don't know. And I said, this is so much stress on him, his heart, trying to, go through my brother's estate, do all these things. I said, this is going to be what kills him. I said, he's going to die of a broken heart because he's going to be so stressed out about, it was his only biological kid.
mm,
And it
yeah,
was the only one to carry on his last name.
yeah, yeah,
So I think that I didn't worry about the wall he put up. I was more worried about what can we do for your health to make it better?
yeah,
Because there was only so much he could do.
yeah, yeah. Oh. So losing your brother to suicide is a grief that's definitely hard to put into words. What do you what do you wish people understood about loving someone who's struggling with mental health?
Answer the phone, answer the text message, check in on them. If you worry about a family member, if you even think that they're just their smile was off today,
Mm.
talk to them because you never know if that conversation is going to be what saves their life. I have like there are so many phone calls I have on my phone of just people that like I seen a Facebook post and it just didn't sit with me right, and I'm like, hey, talk to me. And you need to like sometimes you pull teeth. Like there is one friend I drove to his house and fucking banged on his door and I'm like, open the door. We're sitting down and having this conversation. You are not well right now.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think the biggest thing is talk to people about it. Like it doesn't need to be this taboo thing. that people push it off to be. Like men's mental health is especially not talked about. Postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis. Those things aren't talked about regularly because they're this taboo thing. They're horrible. No, they're not. Everybody goes through steps of life. At one point or another, we all get in like a depressive state. Talk about it to get yourself out of it. If you don't talk about it, you're never going to get there.
Hmm.
If you don't talk about it and get it off your chest and just try to keep putting on a brave face, you're never going to make it.
And I
You need to talk about it.
and I like what you said there, Tommy, about checking in with others. We all know when someone's off, or it's like, that's weird. Why haven't I heard from him or her for a while? Usually we talk more, and then it's just checking in to make sure they are okay.
It's just sometimes people need that moment of, okay, I'm not alone. Like
Yes.
somebody actually cares.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah.
sometimes that's all people need is just that moment of somebody cares and somebody notices.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even when there are no signs, just sometimes, like, especially now since I went through my brother's, went down the rabbit hole and everything, I can tell when somebody smiles off or they just don't look at me right, that I can tell
Mm-hmm.
something's up. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, we're having a conversation about it and you're going to tell me.
Yeah. Yeah. So your brother and then your stepfather both
Yep.
pass. And within what time frame was that?
18 months. Their
Oh,
funerals were 18 months to the day. My brother's funeral was held January 14th of 2022. My stepfather's funeral was held January 14th, 2023. Like it
wow.
was back to back. The funeral director knows us by first name now,
Oh, yeah.
and she was great. I cannot
Uh,
complain about her at all.
so how did you really keep going after the second traumatic death?
Pickup truck. My brother had a 2003 Ford F-250 diesel, and he absolutely loved that truck. Like, if I'm being honest, I'm not a Ford person. Like, I hate Ford. And my dad had kept it after my brother passed away. And he put it for sale, but we knew he was never going to sell it. It was a piece of my brother.
Yeah.
And he would always be like, oh, I'm going to fix it up. We're going to do things. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. And it was kind of that like last piece of him holding on to.
Hmm.
And after he passed away, after my dad had passed away, I was living with my ex-boyfriend and my mom had called him and I answered the phone because I knew something was cool. I had known my dad got life flighted the night before. So I answered the phone because I'm like, she would have called me, not him. And I remember running through his yard, going to my mom's, and I remember sitting in silence in her living room. And my mom's like, well, what are we going to do with the truck? And I'm like, it's not going anywhere. I said, I'm keeping it, I'm fixing it up. So I probably could have used a hug and told it was okay, but instead I went, no, I'm dumping everything into this 20-year-old truck. And it's going to be built in memory of my brother and father. I'm
Yeah.
not walking away from it.
Yeah. So was there just you two siblings?
That my mom and stepdad seen regularly.
Okay. Okay.
Out of my mom and my my biological dad, I have 11 siblings.
Holy Moses. Okay.
I have one half sister, and then the rest are all step siblings.
Yeah.
So out of my mom and stepdad, my mom and half sister do not talk very often.
Aw. Yeah.
Um, but as far as who my mom and stepdad had seen regularly, it was just me and my brother.
Yeah. Yeah. So you two were pretty close.
Yeah, and we did a lot of activities with the same people, just different groups.
Yeah.
Um, Me and my brother both loved trapping. I was friends with one twin, and I went and checked traps with him and everything else. Well, his twin brother and my brother had trapped together. They
Oh,
ran the same trap lines
yeah.
together, and did a lot together. So it was like we were doing it with the same people,
Yeah.
just different groups.
Yeah. Yeah. Aw. So, how has your story shaped who you are today?
Feel like it gave me a new purpose. I advocate for men's mental health. And as a female, people are like, they turn their head and they're like, what is this girl doing? And I never realized until my brother passed how much it's not talked about,
Mm,
especially from a sibling's perspective. And I feel like a lot of people just don't want to talk about it. And I'm like, no, this is kind of my purpose now of like, we need to openly discuss what's leading people to do this. Suicide rates are only going up, they are not going down.
mhm,
And we need to do something different. I feel like it gave me the purpose of like, okay, now I have some knowledge now that I've been through this, and I would rather answer my phone from a random number of somebody just saying, "Hey, I had a really bad day."
mhm,
I posted on TikTok whenever I started my brother's truck, and there were so many people who were like, "This hits home for me."
mhm.
I remember there was one mom who actually had messaged me and tracked me down, found my Facebook, and she was like, "I lost my son to suicide."
Aw.
And she goes, "This helped me so much in a healing way." She goes, "I'm going to follow this whole entire journey in every stage of your life now because you're advocating for something I didn't know how to put into words."
Aw. Wow. Well, and that really is taking your pain and putting it into a purpose. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
So do you consider yourself to have resilience?
Oh, absolutely. If I wasn't resilient, I wouldn't have shared my story. I wouldn't have put down the alcohol. I would have just drowned myself and my parents would have lost another kid.
Yeah. 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 So where did you get your resilience from?
That's a loaded question. Um, I grew up on my parents got divorced. But before that, I had grown up going to a horse farm to help a lady. And she ended up being a child abuser. She would starve us and basically do anything but put her hands on us. And that showed me a lot of resilience because I had no choice. It was, if I wanted a chance to eat, it was figure it out. And then even through my parents' divorce and everything else, I'm like, I I don't have time to sit here and pity myself. I have to jump, I have to spring back or else I'm not going to make it anywhere. I'm going to wallow in the pity of my childhood trauma. Through my parents' divorce.
Mhm.
And I'm like, yep, no, we're gonna get our butt moving. So as much as I would love to say, like my parents gave me my resilience and everything, it was mainly me trying having to figure it out. It was do or die. It wasn't
Yeah.
my parents.
Can I ask why you were sent there? Was it because just a break, like the trauma of the family separating or
So no, not even close.
okay.
So she did pony rides at our local fair. And I had gone back like year after year, and she was there every year. Well, she had asked my parents, she's like, well, why can she help me out with pony rides? And my parents said yes, because she seemed like a genuine lady. She's out
Yeah.
doing pony rides at the
Yeah.
county fair. She seems like a
Yeah.
very trusting person.
Yeah.
Well, then days of going to the fair, then I was going to her house, and then it was turning into weekends. And she was very manipulative. Like, I do not
Mhm.
blame my parents at all for sending me there. And she was a monster in disguise. Like, she would tell my parents one thing, but really I was out in the barn from 6 o'clock in the morning until 9, 10 o'clock at night. And then I had to walk through her yard with a flashlight picking up sticks.
Oh,
And I was lucky to get one meal a weekend, but she twisted it around and manipulated my parents into thinking that, oh, she's over exaggerating. She's a kid.
mhm. How old were
Until my
you at the
parents
time?
seen it. I had gone there from the time I was like 6 or 7. I'm gonna ballpark it.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't start staying overnights there till I was probably 8,
Mm,
and then didn't quit going there until I was 12 after a big event happened that my mom witnessed.
yeah. Wow. Wow. And so I know you briefly said something about horses,
Yes.
that you had a difficulty with horses or because of that trauma. Want to tell us about that because you sort of came back around to horses.
I never really left horses. I left the trauma that she had given me.
Uh,
And I didn't go around horses for probably 2 or 3 years after everything went up and everything came to light with my parents about what she was doing to us kids up there. And I probably walked away from horses for 2 or 3 years because I didn't know where to start again.
mhm.
And now I have horse that she'll be a year old next month. And I
Oh,
have another horse still at a boarding facility right now that I've done a lot of work with both of them myself.
yeah.
And I felt like that was a big thing that was healing too, that I faced that trauma with the animals and not with her. I think is
Mm,
the best way to put it.
yeah,
Is like horses were healing through everything too, but I think that healed my inner child in a way that is pretty indescribable.
yeah. Wow. Wow. So for someone that's listening and maybe they're stuck in their pain, what's one small truth that you could help them with to keep them moving forward, to get out of being stuck?
Write it down every
Mm,
day. Have a journal. My brother had a journal from May until about November, and then he quit writing in it, and that's when he really spiraled. Um, I write every day. I write how I'm feeling, where my stress levels at, where my mood's at, what happened that day, even if nothing happened at all. Um, and I can look back at any of my journals and I can say, well, this day I was doing really crappy. Like you can always hit a lower spot than where you're at. But when you actually look back on those, you're like, okay, I got through this rough patch once. Okay, let me look at the next day. And then I had a great day. And I see, oh, okay, yeah,
mhm.
I'm making progress forward. Okay, I got knocked down again, but I can still get forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's great advice because um we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring or the day
No,
after or the day after. And sometimes it just feels like this is my life. This is it. Um, but really it's not. There is another day. And sometimes good things come on those days. Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
sometimes things bad happen, but that's
And
what makes us human when we
that's
feel
right.
those emotions.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I love what you said, Tommy, about the journal, because I do believe that I have women like me, we do stories. Women are writing their true life stories, and it's difficult, but and I like you use the reflection. So you're looking from day to day and looking back and seeing that reflection of good days, bad days, your life, that type of thing. And but it's also for many, it can be a healing. It's a release. It's taking what's sort of stuck in the body, and by putting it on paper, you're actually releasing that.
100%. My one friend, she was going through a rough spot and she called me and she goes, Tommy, I don't know what to do. And I said, let's write it down. And I went to Dollar General, got her the cheapest notebook I could find, and we wrote it down and we burned everything that night. That like she was writing it down, tears, panic attack, everything. And she goes, well, now that it's all out, I feel better. And I said, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to keep it? Do you want to remember this so you have something? And she goes, F no, let's burn it. And I'm like, let's go.
I
Like,
love
I'm not going to
that.
hold it against you that you want to leave that part of your life behind. But
Yes.
you got it all out and you got it down.
Yes.
Now you can move on from it.
Yes, exactly. Whatever that is, whether it's burning, like you say, burying it, good for you. Good for you. So, if your story could sit beside someone in their darkest moment, what would you want it to quietly say to them?
There's always sunshine after rain.
Aw,
That sometimes it'll just be a cloudy day after the rain's over. Sometimes you'll see a beautiful sunshine, and if you're lucky enough, you'll see a rainbow. But
yeah.
you got to stick around to see that rainbow.
Yes. Yes, you do. Yes, absolutely you do. So let me ask you one last question. What does choosing life fully and honestly mean to you now?
We only get one life. Split second decision and a temporary feeling shouldn't be the reason that you have to find the harshest piece there is.
Wow. That's wow. Yes. Yes. You know, I've had a friend who committed suicide, and some of my ladies who've written books have had family members, and I agree with you. It's that immediate pain that they want it to go away.
Absolutely.
And but then you start to think about the years that they've lost.
Absolutely. I look at it this way now. I'm 27. My brother was 29 when he killed himself.
Mm,
This is the last year I'll be younger than my brother.
yeah. Yeah.
My brother never got to get married, never got to start a family. He never got to see me walk down the aisle. I hate to put it in a morbid way, but he never got to bury his own dad. His dad buried him. And I'm
Hmm.
a firm believer in no parent should ever have to bury their kid, especially after watching my parents go through it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I thank you for that. I think that that's a beautiful thing to leave people with. And yeah, so I guess I would like to say to anybody who's listening that there is help out there, and whether that's a friend, a sibling, a parent, a relative, a crisis line, something just
Stranger,
stranger. Yeah, anything. Yeah, anything. Just reach out, do your best to reach out. And if you at home have been listening and take what Tommy had to say, keep an eye on your friends, keep an eye on your kids, keep an eye on your spouse. I did an interview with a lady 2 days ago who had no idea, and he went to work, and an hour and a half later, the police were at her door because he was gone. And she just didn't know. So, you know, pay attention. Pay attention. We can help others for sure. Yeah. Oh, well, Tommy, I just want to commend you for your courage to talk about your story. It's deeply moving, and I appreciate you doing that. And I know there will be many that will be helped by this. So, and if any of you want to follow Tommy or reach out to her, she's going to give me her TikTok link and also her Facebook link. So you can certainly find her and reach out to her if you want to or need to or feel like you want to do it. Just reach out to her. So the information will be there. So Tommy, thank you so much for being here. Do you have any last words for our listeners?
if you can find one reason to leave, find another 99 to stay, is what I always tell people. Just because there's one reason to leave, give yourself at least 99 reasons to stay.
Wow.
Because
Yes.
1% of having a bad day, you can have 99% of a good day too.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that. Good wisdom, Tommy. Thank you so much. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you for being here, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.